The song Let It Go in the Disney musical Frozen is a song that solves one of the most difficult creative challenges that every songwriter faces every time you sit down to write a song. And what I want to do in this video is I want to unpack the way that this song solves this specific problem. So whether you like Frozen or Disney or not, there is something that is crucial to be learned from this song, and I want to show you what it is. There is something about the form of songs as an oral object that has created a sort of natural evolution of the need for a chorus, or at the very least, for a part of the song that repeats. Listeners don't just love hearing something repeat. To a certain extent, they need something to repeat. It's that repeating bit that invites a listener in to create an emotional attachment to your song. But here is where the creative challenge for every song and songwriter lives. How do we repeat something but make it get more interesting, not less interesting? How do we actually grow the emotional weight of that repeating thing and not diminish its weight through repetition? Like if you tell a joke and nail the punchline and then try to tell the same joke again with the same punchline, that joke is going to get less and less funny. And the same is true with songs. If every one of your verse sections is essentially doing the same thing, just using different words or imagery to do the same thing, every time you get to the repeating bit, it's going to get less interesting and get less of an emotional reaction. So the challenge here to solve, which the song Let It Go does so beautifully, is that we get a really, really strong repeating section, but every time we hear it, not only does it mean something slightly different, but the emotion grows. The title and hook of this song is Let It Go. The genius thing about this lyric is this: every time we hear Elsa or Idina Menzel sing Let It Go, the thing that the character is letting go of is changing and shifting and growing throughout the course of the song. Let's take a deeper look. The first time Elsa sings Let It Go, she is letting go of other people's expectations. She's letting go of keeping the secret of her powers. She's letting go of being the person everyone else expects her to be. But here is the amazing thing. The next time Elsa sings Let It Go, we feel that she is not just letting go of other people's expectations, but this time we feel that she's letting go of her own self-imposed limitations on her power. She's letting go of the rules and she's going to test out exactly what she can do. The idea has changed. It has changed from letting go of other people's expectations of her to letting go of the limitations on her own power. And when the ideas change like that, the emotion grows as well. The idea has gained power rather than losing power. Just a quick little note here, guys, to say if you are finding this video helpful or useful at all, please help us out by pressing that little like button. Apparently it helps the algorithm show our stuff to other people who might be interested, and we really appreciate it. In the third iteration of this chorus, we hear her sing Let It Go, and we understand that she's actually letting go of the past. She is severing her identity and becoming someone new. So the first Let It Go is letting go of expectations. The second letting go is letting go of limits to her powers. And the third Let It Go is letting go of her own identity and also the relationships that she had in the past. When listeners hear this happen, it feels like something magical is happening. They're hearing the same words, but they're understanding them differently, and they're actually feeling different and new and more powerful emotions every time they hear it. And it's almost like a chant, the way you go deeper and deeper to deeper levels with each iteration, but it's not a magic trick. There is something learnable here if we understand how the songwriters are approaching not only the writing of the title, but the writing of the verses that recolor the title in a way that sheds new light on the same words and creates that feeling of movement, change, and increasing emotional depth. So let's break this down into two usable techniques. The first technique here is all about title strategies. It's true to say that when we're looking for titles for our songs, or the hook, the centerpiece of our song, we're looking for something that is inherently interesting or memorable, or something that just really captures succinctly and directly the core message, image or idea of our song. But when we start to think about this other idea, that we're really looking for a title that can be recolored, it triggers a different kind of looking. We don't just want any memorable or interesting phrase. We want a phrase that inherently and inside of it contains the DNA of something that could be approached from multiple different angles. We want that title to be like a prism that we can hold up to the light, and as we turn it through the verses, that new light and new colors emerge out of the same title. Thinking about titles like this is really helpful because as we're brainstorming titles for our songs, we can start to immediately apply this thinking. We look at a title and we ask ourselves, are there at least 2 different angles that I could approach this title from that are both connected to the core idea and to the central story of this song, but are not merely the same angle of approach? Let me give you an example. Let's say I'm working on a song where the central idea, the theme, the thing I really want to be writing about, the experience that I want to be talking about is the idea of independence. How at some point we realize that no one has the answers. We're going to have to do it for ourselves. We can find the answers and we can do it for ourselves. So I might have written some lyrics. I might have done some free writing or some sense writing, whatever it is that I've done to generate some initial lyric ideas. At some point, I want to find the title of my song. And if you want a little bit more information on the importance of finding the title earlier than later in your songwriting process, check out this video right here. So I will start brainstorming titles, or I might start looking at my free writing, my sense writing, different lyric writing, seeing if there's some expression or phrase that pops out to me and list them down on a page. So a couple of things come to mind already. I'm not waiting anymore. I'm going to make it happen. No one but me. All of these are pretty good, but what I want to do is test these titles. I want to take one and I want to hold it up like a prism to the light, and I want to see if I can shift it and create different colors. Let's take the title No One But Me. So one way that I could approach this title in the first instance of the song, so through the first verse or verse and pre-chorus, is through the angle of solitude or loneliness, feeling this sense of separateness or otherness or difference. That even in a crowd, I'm all alone and there's no one but me. And then I can shift the prism and I can see that I can approach that title from a different angle. It's the same song, it's the same story, but in the second instance, through a second verse system, for example, I could explore the idea of looking for answers, but no one has the answers. No one but me. Hopefully you can see that even here, I have recolored the title. The first time you hear it, no one but me means I'm all alone. In the second instance, when you hear no one but me, it means no one but me has the answers. And in the third instance, I could use a verse or some kind of bridge to write the idea that it turns out that I am everything I need. I don't need anyone else. I don't need no one but me. Hopefully one thing you can see here is that great titles don't need to be fancy. It's much more important to look for something that can be recolored. The other really important part of the example I just gave is the way that I was thinking about a song map. A song map is really the way that the idea is going to progress through 3 different plot points, but that those plot points are not just saying the same thing using different words or images. They're not even just 3 different examples of something. They're really ways that the idea and the emotion is moving forward. And if you want to learn more about verse development strategies through song mapping, check out this video right here. The second technique here that is really, really usable and learnable is the concept of trigger lines. The trigger line is the line or 2 immediately before the repeating part of your song. They're called trigger lines because their proximity to the hook or chorus or title of the song triggers its meaning into that repeating thing. The trigger line is probably the most important part of a verse or pre-chorus that is going to help a listener make the connection of how to actually hear the repeating part, but how to hear it differently each time. Let's look back at the lyric of Let It Go and see how the trigger lines are working. These lines here are the trigger lines before the first title and the first chorus of this song. And what we see here is be the good girl you always have to be. Don't feel, don't let them know. Now they know. Let it go. So we're letting go of the fact that I'm not just a good girl. I'm not the perfect princess. And I have to let go of their expectations of who I am. Let's check out the second verse and its trigger lines. Test the limits, break through, no right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free. Let it go. We just immediately make the connection between no rules, let it go. What am I letting go of? Rules. And then the third iteration here, we've got this bridge, and the trigger line is so powerful at the end of this bridge section. I'm never going back. The past is in the past. Let it go, let it go. The proximity of that idea to the repeating hook of the song really clearly tells us what she is letting go of. She's letting go of the past. One way to use the technique of trigger lines is actually to reverse engineer your sections from the trigger line. So once you've decided what your title is and you actually have a song map, so you understand how you are going to approach that title from different angles, you can actually generate your trigger lines first, understanding that those are actually some of the most important lines in your whole song. Starting at the end of a section and working backwards is a really tried and true technique of a lot of amazing songwriters. And there's actually an amazing interview on the Soda Jerker podcast with Sting where he talks about this idea explicitly. He talks about reverse engineering his sections from the titles or from the important lines that he wants to put at the ends of sections. Make sure that your trigger lines are really expressing the specific way that you want a listener to hear your title the first time, the second time, and the third time. When these things come together in a song, the experience for a listener is truly magical. They feel like some alchemy is happening, that they're hearing the same thing, but it is somehow magically transforming. But we, on the other side, as songwriters, can understand that it's not magic or alchemy. We can actually deliberately and consciously use these techniques to create that effect. If you want more tips and tricks on how to write some of your best lyrics, make sure to check out this video right here. Happy writing. I'll see you soon.